Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Bad Batch video. I've been dying to talk about this. We're going to be talking about the most recent episode 13, Into the Breach, and I gave it a day. In yesterday's video we spoke about different Star Wars updates, and today I want to return to the Bad Batch. I posted my breakdown and review, but I want to revisit a question we briefly touched upon a few days ago, days before the episode even dropped. But now we have some more information from episode 13, so it's going to be a lot more in depth, we have more points of reference, and I really think you're going to enjoy it. With just 2 episodes to go, I know, can you believe it, just 2 episodes? I think it's a worthy discussion, and I want to know what you guys think in the comments down below. So let's begin. What am I talking about? Former Vice Admiral Rampart. What's the deal with him? What's in store for his future going into the penultimate episode? Is he going to die when they get to Tantiss, or is he going to defect? It's a very good question, because since the Bad Batch broke him out of prison to help them find the coordinates to Tantiss, he's an extra character we now have to consider. Because I knew he was going to help them, but I didn't expect him to literally be there with them when they get to Wayland. So allow me to lay out both sides of this argument. Starting with my initial one, it's not the most popular argument, but hear me out. They're setting up an Agent Kallus type of redemption, an ex-Imperial who sees the light, and in the case of Rampart was just chucked away and framed by the Emperor himself, the top man in the Empire. And there are a couple of hints in the most recent episode that a redemption is coming. Hunter deterring Rampart from betraying them by reminding him they're the ones who helped him escape. On top of this, a couple of fans noticed how much time Rampart spent in the light, and I'm talking about physically, in the light. It fluctuates quite a bit, representing conflicted feelings, I suppose you could say competing loyalties in his head, that kind of thing. And Lucasfilm cinematographer Joel Aaron acknowledged this by replying to a fan who pointed it out on Twitter and said, quote, "You've picked up the scent. In other words, you understood this subtlety." And he cryptically went on to imply that it might mean something. Now before you say there is absolutely no chance a character like Rampart gets a redemption, remember this. The Empire royally screwed him. And I mean really screwed him. Dumped a Vice Admiral who oversaw Project Warmantle and proposed and defended the Defense Recruitment Bill, and they disposed of him in a labor camp. So of course you'd assume there is some anger and some resentment. But here's my issue, and the counter-argument. Rampart might be too far gone. He felt right in his element when he had to impersonate an Imperial captain. Both his ego and his arrogance took over again, and he professed he missed being in that position. Yes, it's true, he was in a desperate position and he has to help the Batch if he wants to survive, but there wasn't too much protest or any breaking of character when they arrived on docking station 003. In other words, he felt right at home, and for this reason, it's possible he'll try to bargain with Hemlock when they get to Mount Tantiss. Maybe if the Batch gets captured, he's going to beg for forgiveness, an Imperial pardoning, and a position back at the Empire. But considering Palpatine himself is the one who rejected Rampart, it's doubtful someone like Hemlock, a loyalist, is ever going to pardon someone like Rampart who is seen as nothing more than a dirty tissue who betrayed the Empire. And if this does happen, this could be a way he dies. But will it? I kind of doubt it, my dear friends. Unless things get really bad when they get there, I can't see him betraying the Bad Batch, as there is no guarantee the Empire would return him to his former post. Yes, he's an absolute insufferable muppet, but he is intelligent. He's probably fully aware of his predicament, so continuing to aid the Bad Batch is probably his best bet, his best chance to stay alive. And maybe, you never know with time, his hatred of clones could turn to sympathy, especially when he sees what's going on Tantiss. But again, some people will say, Meg, you're crazy, he knows what's going on, and he despises the clones. There is no way he feels anything but a vile resentment towards them. And as I say, the position I'm seeing most is that Rampart doesn't have the same seeds of redemption that Kallus did. And to quote a hilarious comment I came across on Thursday, Rampart would betray his own grandmother if he thought it would benefit him. And yeah, I can see that. Rampart being nasty to his nan. And I think the reality of the situation is this. The creatives know we're just focused on the Bad Batch, who is going to die and who is going to survive. Rampart was just the catalyst to getting to Tantiss, even if he's there. His plan at the moment is probably to survive as long as he can, and then gain his freedom, if that's a possibility. He was screaming at Hunter to abort the mission. Hunter said, negative like a badass, and now they're on their way. Rampart is looking out for himself. He's gonna do whatever it takes to ensure he doesn't die. If an opportunity arises for him to come out on top, If it means putting down those who helped him escape prison, he's going to do that, even if it comes at their expense. In his mind, it's justified. If the path to his personal goals is helping them succeed, he'll do that too. So returning to the central question, will Rampart be redeemed? I don't know. If I had to bet, I would say he dies on Tantiss, and that is the end of it. Either Hemlock kills him, he dies at the hands of other clones, maybe on their way to Tantiss he gets shot down, or the Bad Batch use him as some kind of shield. The possibilities are pretty endless. But if a Kallus type redemption is in the cards, he might appear in Andor Season 2, or another show that takes place after this. Could you guys imagine if Lama Su kills him to get revenge? And you're probably wondering, Meg, what are you talking about? What do you mean Lama Su? Well, he reappeared in Season 2, but they never confirmed his death. He might be imprisoned like Nala Se, but I digress. It's also a possibility 2 or more of these options are true at the same time. He might have a redemption, last minute, and then die. He could be vital to helping some of the clones escape. I've been really blown away with the 2 episodes we've seen Rampart in Season 3. He's a very different kind of character. He's got a lot of ego, a lot of self-importance, a demeanour about him where he sees himself at the top of the hierarchy of life, and this makes any kind of redemption very difficult to see. But remember, by the same measure, Kallus's redemption came out of the blue. In Star Wars Rebels, by being forced to work with Zeb to survive and escape, he found kinship in the rebel cause, and learnt about camaraderie. There could be a Geonosis moment for Rampart. I guess the question is, does Rampart have a conscience? Has he been so blinded by the propaganda that, as I say, he doesn't have the same traits as Agent Kallus? Well, one thing to consider is the fact he probably spent a lot of time in prison thinking. And one final option we need to consider, the Batch might dispose of him before they even get there. They could be the ones to betray him. His purpose has been served. But would the Batch literally just get rid of him? Or if he does exemplify signs that he wants to be a rebel of sorts, could they get him in touch with Rex and Bail Organa? And all of the questions we're speaking about in this video are ones the creatives on the Bad Batch had to talk about when creating this episode. You have to figure on some level this was the thinking pattern. What we know for sure is that episode 14, Flash Strike, is going to be a very intense but short episode, just entirely action-packed, and I think we've all got our eyes on episode 15, The Cavalry Has Arrived, a week after that. Do you guys see redemption for Vice Admiral Rampart? Let me know down below. Now just before I go, and staying on the subject of the Bad Batch episode 13, we have a new episode guide. And as always, my dear friends, we're going to finish with a couple of interesting tidbits. Did you know some inspirations for this episode include the 1979 Clint Eastwood movie Escape from Alcatraz and 1992's Steven Seagal romp Under Siege? It was also kind of cool to see how the adult scientists were very cold, but the kids were trying to act like a family. You had Sammy acting as a mother, Jax kind of like a reluctant father, and Omega kind of being like a caretaker, kind of like a nanny. It was interesting seeing this dynamic. And also, my dear friends, one of the new Imperial officers, Officer Novitz, is the Imperial commanding the science vessel the Batch has latched onto heading for Tantiss. I think he's going to be a significant threat. So a lot of interesting interactions to come, but I want to know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts on everything we spoke about in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you, always.